The Nashville Predators have not one, not three, but 2 wins in a row. The latest coming in a very, very good feel-good win over the Chicago Blackhawks. Always good to beat a division rivalry. But the big story is the history that happened during the game. That is our topic today on the Locked On Predators podcast.
Your Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free Nashville Predators podcast that's available to you wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. I'm Nick Morgan. I'm a writer and editor at ontheforecheck.com, and I have a partner in crime.
You do. I am Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer and editor at InsideThePreds.com.
Also want to mention today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Ann. Big story. Nashville Predators continue their winning streak, at least to 2 games, which is still better than what they were before the winning streak started. A 4-2 win over the Chicago Blackhawks. Hand the Blackhawks their 8th consecutive loss. I don't care what the circumstances of the season are. Anytime you beat Chicago,
yes,
it is a good game, my friend.
Yes.
And normally, Ann, how we start the show is we have one word to describe the game.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a different one word I think we need to talk about. Or I guess, should I say one name? Roman Josi. Now officially the Predators scoring king.
Right.
Roman Josi became the Predators all-time leading scorer, passing David Legwand, as Chris Mason said on Twitter last night. Suck it, Leggy. And so, yeah, Roman Josi is your scoring champion, Nashville Predators fans. And Ann, I feel like it's just a pretty good coronation for a guy who's maybe going to have another statue right next to that Pekka Rinne statue in Bridgestone Arena.
Look, I would be 100% here for a Roman Josi statue. The downside of a Roman Josi statue is I feel like there's no way to capture him as accurately as he exists in real life. It's going to be like, have you ever seen the Lucille Ball statue in Jamestown, New York?
No.
Oh, Lucille Ball, just absolute American treasure. And she grew up near where I grew up in Jamestown, New York, and they have a statue of her. And it is hideous, my friends. It is hideous. It is terrifying. It is the stuff of nightmares.
Is it Cristiano Ronaldo levels of bad?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll find a picture of this and I'll post it to our Twitter page so that you all can not ever unsee the Lucille Ball debacle. But Roman Josi is so beautiful. I don't know how they're going to get a statue that really captures that essence, but so worthy of it. This was such an exciting thing. And, he's been creeping up on it. And it's not always been a wonderful season for Roman Josi. At the beginning of the season, he kind of had a points drought in some games. But to see him make history in a game with a goal, and then it was a power play assist, how beautiful is that irony? That got him the points leader for the Nashville Predators franchise at 567 points. And here's what's an interesting little math tidbit. Roman Josi did that in 791 games. It took David Legwand, God bless David Legwand, 956 games to get to 566 points. I mean, look at Roman Josi just chugging along. And that is a player who's got plenty of good years left on him. So who knows where this record is going to end up. But I'm all about celebrating Captain Roman Josi.
Yeah, it's like you hear like people around the league. It's like, oh, it's kind of weird that the Predators haven't really retired like Legwand's number, that he's not in higher regard. And then you like hear stuff like that, and it's like, oh,
Okay.
That makes more sense. And again, I love David Legwand.
Absolutely.
When he is not hand passing the puck into his own goal during a playoff game. But I still love Dave Legwand.
Yeah.
It's the thing for me. Well, first off, poor Tommy Novak, who gets his first goal since getting called up, and no one gives a crap.
Nobody
about him in
cares.
this situation, because that was the goal that Roman Josi set the mark on.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, you talk about Roman Josi and what he's meant to this team, and he came in the shadow of a lot of Predators legends. Like, he was Shea Weber's defensive partner. His first really full season, the one where he really played a role throughout, was the 2012 year, which at the time, a lot of people thought the most talented Preds team kind of ever assembled at that time. And even when, his partner, Shea Weber, left, who did Shea Weber get traded for? PK Subban. So it feels like, it feels like when you talk to people around the league, like Roman Josi's kind of renaissance has only happened over the last 3-4 years. And you really have to go back and, watch him in the early 2010s, watch him during that stretch from 2017 to 2018, first the playoff run and then the President's Trophy season, just to get an appreciation of just how consistently good Roman Josi has been for his entire career in Nashville. This wasn't just, shuffling a lot of people out and Roman Josi had to step up and take the next step. He did. Like, don't get me wrong, he definitely did. But you don't really get an appreciation of how long he's been this good. And, obviously we got to celebrate him last year with his insane points total and breaking the Preds single season points record. And then this year he sets the Predators all-time record, and I have to ask, Pekka Rinne is in the conversation. Some people are going to say, Shea Weber is still kind of an OG. Where do you put Roman Josi on the list of greatest Predators? Is he, dare I say, approaching the top spot over another certain European franchise icon?
Yeah. It's funny because it almost feels sacrilegious to say that. And yet, where else does Roman Josi end up, if not near the top and in a conversation with a name like, I don't know, Pekka Rinne?
Yeah.
Where else do you put him? And it's so interesting to me because Roman Josi is not sort of that prototypical personality for somebody who is going to be considered a franchise icon. He just kind of quietly does his work. I know a lot of people have talked about, when he was named captain, does he have the personality? Does he have the temperament to really lead this team? Is he not leading in the locker room? Was kind of a conversation that stirred early on in his tenure as captain. And I think all you can ask from your captain is to lead the team by example. Yeah. And that is exactly what Roman Josi does. Does Roman Josi have to raise his voice and act like, a hoodlum to get the attention of the locker room and the respect of the locker room? No, he doesn't. Yeah. And you look at what
he's not Tony D'Angelo.
And we thank Jesus for all kinds of things, including that. So I really don't see how you have a conversation about the greatest in Predators franchise history without talking about Roman Josi. And as we were kind of preparing for the show, one of the things that I really had a moment about is how much I take for granted that as somebody who covers the Nashville Predators, who follows the Nashville Predators, who loves the Nashville Predators, I almost take for granted how talented he is. Yeah. Like his exceptional play in my mind is just the expectation from him. And we, to prepare for the show, I went back and was watching some different highlights of Roman Josi's play. And I think I forget that almost everything that this player does is exceptional. His average is league exceptional. And it's easy to overlook that because he is so consistently talented at what he does. There are very few games that I can remember where you walk out of Bridgestone Arena and you say, man, Roman Josi had a bad game. Like, he just is so consistent. He is so good. And it's so easy to just overlook that and underappreciate him. So I loved having a moment last night where everybody collectively went, damn,
Yeah.
Roman Josi is freaking amazing. And he's all ours, friends. He is all ours.
And it's kind of a shame he's all ours because it feels like, he plays for any other team in the NHL. He's on the Toronto Maple Leafs doing what he's done the past few years.
Come on.
He's with the Rangers. He's with the Flyers. We're talking about him being in the conversation of maybe top 5 defensemen of this entire, generation, NHL generation. Again, maybe the Nashville bias, so to speak, or, the bias towards bigger market teams is maybe keeping him from being in that conversation. But, Roman Josi, your Predators all-time leading points guy.
Yes.
Kind of want to ask you a question, and your favorite Roman Josi moment with the Nashville Predators. And of course, hey, the Predators also got a big win over a division rival. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, want to mention today's show, once again, is brought to you by Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league you can think of. Everything from pro football, college bowl season, go Western Kentucky, big win yesterday. We also got basketball, pro and college, everything you need to know about the NHL season, and Premier League soccer starting right back up. They got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, like the one you're listening to right now, you can find plenty of those at BetOnline as well. Get you all the information you need to know to make some smart bets for whatever your favorite sport is. And they're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action happening for all of today's sports. Bet Online, where the game starts. All right, Ann, do you have a favorite? We were trying to come up with one. Do you have like a favorite Roman Josi goal, moment, play, anything like that? Is there one in particular that just kind of stands out to you?
There are so many to choose from. Because, again, everything Roman Josi does is just next level exceptional. But there is one goal that he scored recently that delights me every time I stumble upon the highlight of it. And I don't mean anything disrespectful to the goaltender involved in this particular play, but it delights me every time. And it was a game, and I think it was just last season. I would have to confirm that, but I believe it was just last season, and it was against the Arizona Coyotes. And Roman Josi had spent 2 minutes in the sin bin thinking about what he had done. And the penalty was killed. He pops out of the box for a breakaway. They get the puck to him. Roman Josi streaking down the ice, shoots the puck, misses, bounces. The puck bounces back kind of behind the goal. Roman Josi decides, I said I'm scoring a goal in Swiss German. And he taps the puck back off of the back of, I think it was Vejmelka, and into the net. Off of the Coyotes goaltender's back into the net. And it was just one of those ones where he was like, no, really, y'all, I said I'm going to score a goal now. And if I have to do it this way, that is fine. And it's not even one of his most amazing high skill plays. It's just the one that delights me the most.
Yeah. It's like it, and also encapsulates him as a player, just kind of finding random ways to get the Predators on the board.
Yeah. He also, there was another one that I love, and it was a pass, because I think, and it's so funny because we talk about things like goal scoring with Roman Josi. We talk about his passing, he's a defenseman. We haven't even touched on the fact that he has these amazing defensive plays, but yeah. I also love, he had a pass. Don't even remember the team we were playing against. Feel like way deep down, it's completely irrelevant anyway, where he enters the offensive zone, does a little spinorama, no look pass to Ryan Johansson in the slot, who makes a goal. And it's like, that is Olympic level artistry from Roman Josi.
It feels like he's had so many of those that I just like, it's like we were talking, like you and I, when we were playing this episode, we were like, I can't even remember like half of Roman Josi's highlight reel goals just because it seems like there's been so many, like even from the season, that's like, oh wow, that's a beaut right there.
Yeah.
For me, and I go back to 2017, Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and the first goal scored, or the first Stanley Cup Finals game scored at Bridgestone Arena. And the thing about that is, the play was, whatever. It was just a shot from the point that went in, but it was the importance of that goal. Because if you remember, the Stanley Cup Finals at that point was not going very well for the Nashville Predators. Oh. They, had a heartbreaking Game 1 loss. They were clobbered in Game 2. They were down 1-0 in the second period of that game. And it just seemed like, the energy around Bridgestone was kind of, down, like, the whole woe is me sort of thing. The Predators were just not getting anything on net, and the Predators had a power play, and Roman Josi scores that goal. And it was like, lighting, it was just like the lighter to a firecracker. Like It was just the spark that really got that back on track, because Bridgestone erupted on that one. They were in it. And then what happened, 15 seconds later, Freddie Gaudreau scored, and the Predators all of a sudden had the lead. And I just look at that moment. And it's not big in terms of, a highlight reel or anything like that, or a big individual effort, but it's just, one of your leaders going out there and scoring a goal you need to have. And that changed the entire perception of that series, because all of a sudden, 3 days later, the Predators and Penguins are tied, and the Predators have all the momentum in that series. We're not going to talk about what happened in Game 5. I assume it was something great. I don't know. I assume Predators won the cup, and, there was no questionable reffing decision that we're still talking about.
Sisson scored,
Yeah, I assume Colton Sissons had a very clutch goal somewhere in there. But it was, to me, that's who Roman Josi is. When the Predators need a spark, 59 is the guy that gives you that spark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, I think the way that he walks through his career, like, is such an exceptional talent offensively, such an exceptional talent defensively, contrary to what one Norris Trophy voter didn't think last season. And that may come up, I don't know, in tomorrow's Festivus episode, hard to say. But the way that he walks through his career, he just carries this team. He just leads by example. He sets a tone for this team of excellence. And you can say what you want about, flashy personalities. One of my favorite things about Roman Josi is the Nashville Predators recently did a thing called Thirst Tweets, where they read these tweets about, the players and attractive, and they ended up not using Roman Josi reading his tweets because he just didn't quite get it.
Yeah. It was the thing was, I can't remember if it was Emma or Sarah who tweeted out just behind the scenes stuff, and she's like, Roman Josi just looked at all these and it's like, why do they keep focusing on my looks? I don't know if you remember this, Ann. Do you remember back in, it was 2014 or 2015, where Shea Weber and Roman Josi went undercover, where they were posing as just a camera guy and a mic, and they're going around Nashville and nobody knows who these are, players are, and it's just they're go to these group of kids and they're who's your favorite player, and it's the player says somebody on the New York Rangers or something like that. And, Shea Weber's all right, we're not going to use any of that. And then you just see Roman Josi with the boom mic, because he's supposed to be the boom mic guy, just go and just nudge the kid out of frame with this giant boom mic. But the scene from that, there's a behind the scenes thing. Where it was they have made up names, and Shea Weber just goes, and I'm Thomas Jefferson, and Roman Josi is loses his mind. He just starts laughing uncontrollably. He's like, did you just make that name up? And it's just everything about that is adorable. It's it's like a golden retriever finding a new toy. It's like, what is it? Just the unrivaled joy in everything he does.
Yes.
And who knows? Maybe he learned a little bit of American history in that time frame, but
Yeah.
I just looked at it and it's like, oh, this is just like adorable Roman Josi at his finest.
Everything that he does, and I will say this, there's a lot of ups and downs in hockey. There's a lot of, controversial players and attitudes, and we've talked before about, hockey culture, and it's really refreshing when you have somebody like Roman Josi who is just, he loves this game. He does very well by this game. He does so well by this franchise. It's so easy to want to celebrate him in these milestones. So hats off to Roman Josi for points, for leading this team as the captain, for being there in the big moments, for being who he is. God bless Roman Josi.
God bless Roman Josi. And hey, we haven't even talked about the game last night yet.
We haven't. We should do that.
So let's do that.
We're going to do that in just a minute. But first, I have a holiday message here from the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, and they want to talk about impaired driving around the holidays. Did you know that driving high is considered driving under the influence? That's right. Driving under the influence of marijuana is against the law in every state, even in states where marijuana is legal. That means that driving high can get you a DUI. And if you think that law enforcement officers can't tell when you're driving high, you are wrong. Your friends can tell, your coworkers can tell, yes, even your parents can tell. Everyone can tell. So what makes you think that law enforcement officers don't know when you're driving high? Driving under the influence of marijuana can slow your response time and change how you perceive time and speed. So even if you think you're fine to drive when you're high, you're not. The bottom line is this: if you feel different, you drive different. And driving high is driving under the influence. So remember, drive high, get a DUI.
So Anna admits the Roman Josi love. The other headline is, hey, the Predators played a hockey game against the Chicago Blackhawks, who we all hate, and they got a win. Their second in a row. And, looking at the game, had its moments, but overall, at the end of the day, you look at it and you say, Preds kind of did what they needed to do.
Yeah, this was okay. A couple of things that were a little bit of a worry that the Predators are going to need to address before they take on, I don't know, say the Colorado Avalanche. But yeah, overall, this was a great game. This was a good opportunity for Nashville. We've talked about the Blackhawks kind of struggling, and the Predators were able to get in and get some more confidence, kind of build momentum. They played that faster paced hockey that we've been talking about, that we've seen the last couple of games from them, that's sort of coming together. So overall, a good game. Overall, let's just talk about it. It's a win, Nick. It's a win.
Yeah.
And wins are good at this point. In December, we take the wins.
It is. And then, at this point, you kind of look for anything. And you know what? I'm not going to listen to the discourse. I'm just going to be happy that the Predators beat a rival without having to worry about what a Blackhawks beat writer might say about the state of both franchises. You see the Mark Lazarus thing from last night?
I saw something about it. And I didn't go through, I didn't click on it and read the whole thing. So go ahead if you want to synopsis this so we can have a moment.
It was basically like the summary of it in layman's terms was, hey, Blackhawks fans, you might have lost the game and you might be on a losing streak, but at least you're not the Nashville Predators who are going to suck for 10, 15 years because of this right now.
Yeah.
And it's like and look, I get the sentiment of it. And, of course, there's a lot of Preds fans being like, oh, well, he's right.
Oh, yeah.
But, why put that out immediately after a Preds win? You're not making a point. You're raining on a parade at this point. Yeah. And I love Mark Lazarus. He does great work, but, come on, man.
Timing is everything.
Yeah, just let us have this.
Yeah.
That's like the thing. It's just like sometimes just enjoy a win.
Yes. Yes. Can we do that? Because we have not had a tremendous amount of practice this
Yeah.
month. So let us have this.
Yeah, just let us have the stupid win.
Yes.
Like you got 3 cups. You're good. Just let us think we might be good.
And
That's
here's
all
the thing, we're going to hear that discourse from within our own fan base.
Yeah.
You don't need to stir that pot. We already have to live with it.
Yeah,
So
trust us. We already know the discourse.
we've heard it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the game last night, and quick summary here. Predators go up 1-0 thanks to a guy who has fuel, fire, and that's what you desire, Nino Niederreiter. And then the little bit of the thing you need to clean up, what you referred to earlier, a kind of a rough stretch in the second period leads to 2 Blackhawks goals in a 37-second span. But right at the end of the period, Matt Duchene tied it to make it 2-2. And then the Roman Josi show happened. First, he scored to tie David Legwand's record, and then he made the cross ice pass to Tommy Novak on the power play that gave him the record. And then that was all she wrote. Predators won 4-2. A couple of things that stood out to me, and one, we've already talked about Roman Josi, but 2, this was kind of a glimpse at the next generation of Nashville Predators, because you look at some of the people. Cody Glass, we talked about him a lot, made a great play to set up Niederreiter for the first goal. You look at Tommy Novak, we talked about him, who he has been lights out since he's recalled from Milwaukee, and it's good to see that, because that's somebody. When Eric Duchene was on a few weeks ago, we talked about him. It's like, it feels like if he ever gets another chance, he's learned a lot from where he was at this point last year when he was in the Preds lineup. And then, a guy we haven't really talked a whole lot about over the past, few weeks or so, just because he's kind of struggled here lately, was Juuso Parssinen. But last night was Juuso Parssinen's best game in a long time. 2 assists. So he breaks the very long month-long scoring drought he had. But also, you watch him and he's really engaged. He's, kind of doing the little things he needs to do off the puck, gets himself in dangerous areas, knows where the players are on the ice. So those are 3 kind of up-and-coming players, not the core players, who stepped up and made some big plays throughout. And that is something that I take away from that game, because, hey, the Predators need some depth. They need some scoring depth beyond, their top line to kind of get them back in the conversation. And they did that last night.
Yes. And each one of them, I'm really excited to see the progress they made. Cody Glass, huge game from him, not even points wise, but I think these last couple of games, we're really getting a better glimpse at how well Cody Glass reads the ice, understands the game, and sort of drives high level play. And he did that with this pass for Nino Niederreiter. He did it in the overtime goal with Alexander Carrier. He just sees this game really well, and it's such a high level. So love seeing that continue. Tommy Novak had a power play goal, y'all. Power play goal in the game last night. So Mark Lazarus, say what you want, and it might even be a little bit true, but we got a power play goal last night, and the Optimists rejoice.
The Optimists rejoice, baby.
Come on.
That's 2 games in a row, Ann. 2 games in a row with a power play goal.
We're winning the cup.
We're winning the cup. Everything is coming up Nashville, baby.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that John Hines talked about with Tommy Novak when he called him up, was like, this is somebody who's really great on the power play. And Lord knows we could use a little something on the power play. So that was great. And Juuso Parssinen, I know, he came in with a bang and then kind of went quiet for a little bit. He was very like Hunt for Red October went quiet kind of thing. Yeah. But he's consistently doing what the Nashville Predators need him to do. And so it was really great to see him get a couple of key assists in this game, and to see, he's still engaged. He's still playing at a high level, and, we're going to see him get back to where he was when he first entered it. So I agree with you. Also, like that we're seeing good plays from Matt Duchene and Matthias Ekholm. Shout out to them for that play, the goal, 5 seconds left in the second period when the Predators were down 2-1. And it was a play that the Nashville Predators have been beat on so many times, where you have that guy just snaking down the opposite side, and Matthias Ekholm threaded that puck just where it needed to be. Those are the kind of plays that it's exciting to see Nashville execute and not get spanked on. So really a good game overall. There were a couple concerns. Couple concerns in this game for me. One, the Predators had like 5 or 6 shots on goal, really good chances in the first 6-7 minutes of this game, but didn't score. I don't know, is there saran wrap on the goal? Is there I don't know what's happening that they're not able to finish these good chances, but we've seen this for a little while for the Predators. And I know it sounds dumb to say finish the chances, but for the love of all that's holy, finish the chances. Yeah. Especially against the Chicago Blackhawks. You've got to be able to finish these chances that you're generating. So that's a little bit of a concern. The other question I have for you is, what does this game look like without great goaltending?
From the Nashville Predators, it would be 6-4 win, something like that.
Yeah.
Because hey, the Chicago Blackhawks also got great goaltending.
They did
last night too from Peter Mrazek, which is not something we're used to getting.
Unusual
points this season.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like at this point, and when we are talking about the Nashville Predators, it seems like we should just slot a Juuse Saros shout out in the show rundown. We should just have that kind of be the recurring thing, because again, last night, 37 saves for Juuse Saros, and the Predators played well, especially the third period. They absolutely dominated that third period, and I think that's a big takeaway for the game. But there's also those stretches, second period, particularly, where it just seemed like momentum change, and the Predators had trouble getting that momentum back. And when it did, Juuse Saros shut the door. I mean, other than that span of 2 goals in 37 seconds, but we just mentioned, it could have been much worse. And, when people talk about game-changing goaltending, that's it. It's not necessarily the shot totals by the end of the game. I mean, that's certainly a big part of it, but it's stretches like we saw last night where the Blackhawks are just putting everything they have on net, and your goalie stands tall. Your goalie has a good stretch run. That's game-changing goaltending there, because the Blackhawks could have taken the game over at that point.
Yes.
They scored 2 goals. They could have scored 3 or 4 that period. Let's be honest. And Saros shut the door, and that's big. And then because it's one of those things where you make, I think it was that sequence right before they wound up scoring, where it was just 3 really good chances right in front of the net, and Saros stonewalled them all. And, kind of thinking in the back of the head, okay, we're going to remember that one at the end of the game. I mean, we forgot about it, 2 minutes later when they wound up scoring, but it's one of those things. And then the Predators took momentum into the third period and kind of shut the door. But Juuse Saros, his play helped them survive that down stretch. And that's what you want your elite goaltender to do, is get you through bad stretches. Because look, it doesn't matter if you're the Nashville Predators, Arizona Coyotes, Tampa Bay Lightning, or Colorado Avalanche, you're going to have stretches in games where you don't look good, where you get beat, where you look off your game. And that's where your goaltender comes in to get you through those down stretches.
Yeah. And I appreciate the play of Juuse Saros, especially there was one goal that kind of trickled past him and he just flopped back and caught that. Those are the ones that give me a little bit of gastrointestinal issues, but stood strong, especially when they went empty net at the very end of the game. There was an extra attacker on, and Chicago was really pushing for a chance to kind of get a goal and try to get another one to tie the game up. And Saros played really, really well. I wish that this was a game where the Predators were able to convert their chances enough that Saros didn't have to be as good as he was to ensure the win. But thank goodness we have a goaltender that can do that. So let's look forward to the games we have coming up. Heaven help us, Colorado, Dallas coming up. And if we can get the offense to finish some of these great chances they're generating, that takes some of the pressure off the goaltending.
Yeah, we hope Colorado. We think Colorado. There's some NHL cancellations due to some of the winter storms happening across the country. But it seems like they're going to play Colorado tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. If it doesn't,
wait a minute.
No,
you have tickets to this game, Nick.
I had tickets to the game that got canceled back through the water main break too. Maybe God just doesn't want me in the arena.
I don't think that's it.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to see somebody that I interact with on Twitter and just throw nachos in their face or something like that.
Maybe that's the universe protecting the floor at Bridgestone Arena. But yeah, let's hope, let's hope the Predators get the game and execute the things well that they've been doing well, because I think that they have a much better chance playing the way they've been playing lately, with speed, with pace, than they did, earlier in the month. So who knows? Yeah.
So we'll be for that one. We'll let you know if anything changes in terms of game status. Until then, there's a lot of TH words in that sentence. And plug yourself. Where can people find your work?
You can find my work online at InsideThePreds.com, and you can find me on Twitter at ANK_Mama on Ice.
You can find me at ontheforecheck.com, or if you want to read my Red Wings work, go to wingingitmotown.com. You can also find me on Twitter at _NSMorgan. Be sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at LO_Predators. And however you're listening to us, whether you're listening on your favorite podcasting platform or you're watching us on YouTube in the background of your workday, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll always know when we have fresh content out for you. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked On Predators podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We'll be back tomorrow with an all-new episode. We'll see you then.